Let's get into Georgia and Ole Miss. Georgia and Ole Miss. Listen, if you've been watching any of my videos, you know I've been talking. I've been coming hard for Georgia. I don't like teams that are just adorned way too early. I don't like teams and situations and players that just get all the praise from jump because of the school that they're at. First of all, I think the NIL and the transfer portal being set up the way that it's set up right now has changed the landscape of college ball. I think coaching is harder because I think you have to be able to create a nucleus amongst the players that you do have a lot faster. You need to be able to keep the coaches accountable because you can only coach so much as a head coach. If you're a head coach, you're the head coach of the team, but you're probably coaching one position if you're not just the rah-rah coach. This guy coaching defensive backs, this guy coaching linebackers, this guy coaching defensive linemen, this guy coaching special teams, this guy coaching offensive linemen, wide receiver, running back. Everybody split up. How are you making sure that the coaches are helping the nucleus become one? That's harder now. So this is not just a situation where high school kids are leaving high school and they're just becoming enamored by Georgia's ability to do this, by Georgia's ability to have this and these championships. No, some of these other schools are able to pay these guys and bring these guys in. These are the same guys who would be at Georgia or at Alabama, and that's making a lot of these games a lot tougher than they would be because guys are able to get a little bit more money than they would have gotten at this other school. It ain't just a scholarship. Now it's some scholarship and some money. So yeah, I'm finna go over here. I'm gonna go play at South Carolina as opposed to going to Alabama because I can still ball. I'm still me. I'm still the baller that I am. So I think that's making the game a lot more challenging. So if you've been watching this channel, you know I've been coming for Georgia. I've been keeping them accountable. I've been probably one of the only people keeping them accountable. Every time I'm looking at a bunch of different shows that I love to watch, there's still this admiration for Georgia. People are only just now saying Georgia's in trouble. Just saw another video that I can react to, where Joel Klatt is saying, all right, guys, Georgia's in trouble. Bruh, they've been in trouble. They've been in trouble, bruh. They have been in trouble. They've been showed just who they was because they didn't get better after that Alabama game. They didn't improve. They didn't learn from that loss. They came right back out the next game and threw the ball another 50 times with Carson Beck. That is what's wrong. That is one of the main things that is what's wrong. No, the offensive line is not doing the best job. Joel Klatt said that, he didn't think it was all Carson Beck's fault because the offensive line isn't doing, again, coaching. I don't care what nobody else say. It's all about coaching. It's about coaching, and it is still on Carson Beck because if your line is not giving you the time, you got to say something. You got to do something. Carson Beck is not the most vocal guy. He's not. He sits there. He stews in his mind. He just he doesn't really smile unless they're winning. He doesn't look like he's communicating with people or getting guys going unless things are going well. And the flow of their offense only works when the defense is afraid of them running the ball because then Carson Beck is able to get the linebackers to move. He does not read the linebackers, that second line of defense. He's not reading them well. He's throwing the ball into double and triple coverage, and it's oftentimes because he's not reading the second line of coverage. He's not reading the linebackers. So the only time he's doing well in the passing game right now is when he's able to play action fake the swing pass, fake the pop pass, get the linebackers and the safeties to shift and give him a clear passing lane. That's the only time Carson Beck is doing well right now. Truthfully, he's not able to win the game. He's not able to win drives consistently. He's not able to put good drives together. And Ole Miss, if you watch the video that I did on Ole Miss when they played South Carolina, was it? I think it was Kentucky, if I'm not mistaken, when they lost the game to Kentucky. The main thing I talked about was the fact that Ole Miss was not giving themselves an opportunity to play a quick game, to move the ball down the field bit by bit by bit. They had no check down throughout that entire game against Kentucky. I think they did it once. It worked out well. Then they never went back to having a check down. That changed. That changed. They made that adjustment, and that was the most important adjustment they needed to make. They played this game against Georgia without two of their best players, running back and a wide receiver, and they didn't look like they were missing anybody because they were able to see what Georgia was doing on defense, and while Georgia was stopping certain things they were doing on defense, and then they were able to check it down and get 5 yards, 7 yards, 10 yards. Their offense was better. Just from a matchup perspective, Jaxson Dart looked 10 times better than Carson Beck did. Why was Jaxson Dart able to be more successful, though? Just when I look at stats alone, just having nothing to do with the game, Carson Beck was 20 of 31 for 186 yards and an interception. Jaxson Dart, 13 to 22 for 199 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Jaxson Dart, 8 carries for 50 yards. He averaged 6 yards a carry. Carson Beck, 8 carries, negative 20. I don't know if I've ever seen one so evenly matched. Both of them had 8 carries. That's amazing. Carson Beck, negative 20 yards. That means he was getting sacked more than he was moving the ball down the field. Carson Beck looks antsy. He doesn't look like he's able to deal with pressure right now. Let me go through some of my notes, right? Jaxson Dart completely outplayed Carson Beck. Completely outplayed him. And he was dealing with the injury. And he was dealing with the rain too. So I don't want to hear nothing about no Carson Beck first round draft pick. I think that's a mess, and I think that's an issue. I think that's a problem. I think that's a mistake. Whoever does that should be fired, GM-wise. In the NFL, I don't care. You should be fired because I think he's showing clearly who he is right now. 12 interceptions over the last 6 games. He averaging 2 interceptions in the last 6 games. Georgia is a mess. I do not want to see Georgia get to the college football playoff. I don't think they should be allowed to. I hope they lose this next game to Tennessee just to end those conversations because people are really trying their hardest to materialize Georgia into this team that they are not. Bruh, no. The SEC got a lot better things to offer. As far as I'm concerned, we're looking at Alabama, we're looking at Tennessee, you're looking at Texas, you're looking at Ole Miss, and you're looking at Texas A&M. Those are the 5 teams in the SEC that should have a real shot at getting to the college football playoff. Georgia, I need Tennessee to win this game next week so that it's clear as day to everybody. I'm so sick of watching these shows where people are kind of jumping on the Georgia bandwagon again because they were able to do it last year and the year before that. Beck has been anxious in the pocket all year, and he's been lacking pocket presence. He doesn't move. He doesn't move when he needs to. Only just a couple random plays where he'll make that occasional play. But if your O-line is not giving you the time, what are you going to do about it? You're not the kind of quarterback that can tell the coach, "Hey man, I need some extra protection. Give me a fullback. Give me an H-back. Bring somebody else in there to give me some protection. Because I can make the throws. I just need somebody to give me the protection." When Georgia practices, I think they're practicing with the expectation that they're going to get a bunch of time in the pocket. Because when I'm watching Carson Beck on the field, it's like he doesn't expect to be pressured. He doesn't look like he's ready for pressure, and he's looked this way the entire season. How is it that Georgia, the team who has probably arguably one of the best defensive lines in all of college football, how is it that that defensive line isn't putting pressure on Carson Beck at practice? Because Carson Beck has looked awful all season. He should be more prepared than anybody. Simply just the fact that he's been at this school as long as he's been. Are they not simulating the speed that they need to be simulating in practice? Why does Carson Beck constantly look like he doesn't know what to do with the pressure he's receiving? He has looked awful. 12 interceptions in the past 6 games. I don't think Shedeur Sanders has thrown more than 5 or 6 interceptions all season. I don't want to hear nothing about SEC, this, that, and the third. I don't. At the end of the day, you playing at the level that you plan at has nothing to do with your stats. Your stats are really more so an example of who you are. It's more indicative of who you are. He loses Brock Bowers. He loses Ladd McConkey. And he's not able to work out any kind of chemistry with his new set of wide receivers. They look like they're at practice while they're on the field. It starts at the coaching. It has to start with the coaching, but they're expecting so much from Carson Beck, and it doesn't seem like they did what they needed to do to support him. It's almost like they went into the season thinking, we got Carson Beck, so we do have pieces from our team last year, and we should be able to lean on that, as opposed to understanding we don't have as many pieces from our team last year. We don't have the most productive parts of that team last year. We're going to need to put more pressure on the people who are here because we got to get the other people up to speed. And we're going up against other teams that have hit the portal hard. So we have to be extra ready. We're going to have to work harder than we did the year before. Not seeing that, especially when I watched Georgia. When his regime changed, he wasn't capable of being the leader. The defensive line and linebackers are the reason Georgia made that comeback against Bama. They kept giving Carson Beck a short field. And then couple runs. And like I said, that play action fake worked like a charm. That makes Carson Beck look so good because now he's throwing a deep 80-some-odd pass to Dylan. And now people are looking like, there's Carson Beck. No, man. No. Look at him throughout the entire season, because that is who Carson Beck is. And I gotta blame his coaches, because I don't think his coaches are getting him ready, but I blame him too. He is accountable. He is responsible, because I don't know how much work he put in with these wide receivers in the offseason. Were they getting together and throwing the ball around? Because they don't look like it. These guys don't got no chemistry. They're not making hard catches. When it rained in Georgia during the offseason, where y'all getting together and saying, we got to go play in the rain. Carson Beck is not a leader. He is somebody who has benefited from the success of the Georgia Bulldogs program in the past years. And that success happened before NIL. It happened before the transfer portal. Who is he right now? Because I can't see him being successful in the NFL unless everything works out in his favor. Only way I see Carson Beck being successful in the NFL, he got to get drafted in the 3rd round, and he got to get drafted to a team that doesn't need him to play right now, and he needs to be able to play behind a quarterback that is healthy and is just well-rounded. It's a good week. It's a good week of college football. I would just like to see some more accountability as it pertains to the coaching with Georgia. I would like to see more accountability as it pertains to how people are calling out Carson Beck. I think Carson Beck is in one of those places in his, like, look at, like I said at the beginning of this video, you have a guy like Cam Ward and what he's able to do for the program at the University of Miami. Miami has played much better football. Even though they've struggled, they've still made sure they've gotten those wins. They haven't played against the kind of teams Georgia has played against. So Miami's not as tested as Georgia. But as far as Georgia's grade goes, I'm giving Georgia a C. That's what Georgia looks like to me, because they're not even winning these games well when they are winning. Okay, and they're barely scratching the surface. Bama should have beat them by 40. They should have. Okay, Bama just doesn't have the kind of coaching that makes adjustments. So Bama just kind of plays this video game style, and they don't make the changes they need to make. Bama's depending on their talent as well. But when you look at the quarterback play for Georgia, that has so much to do with why they've struggled. It has so much to do, I don't care what anybody say, they're going to try to make it about the O-line. Where are the quarterbacks who complement their O-line and can get away from the pressure? Where are the quarterbacks who are leaders and able to speak to their O-line, speak life into those guys, and get those guys to win their matchups? Where's the coaches that are able to see what's going on with the O-line and make the adjustments by bringing in an extra tight end, bringing in the extra H-back? It's not happening. You're only seeing coaches that are expecting to win because they won last year or because they got a guy out of the portal who people talked about and is supposed to be just the all-world player of the year. And week after week, I'm seeing teams that you expect to win, but coaches sometimes are coming up short. And we're sitting here talking about the players sometimes, when a lot of times it's these coaches, man. It's these coaches who are making millions and millions of dollars, but aren't really making the changes that would suggest that they are worth their salt, worth their millions. But all right, y'all, that's all for today. I will be back later on in the week with my 2-minute drill and my rant and predictions and more. So keep your eye out for that. If you aren't subscribed, I would really appreciate it if you do so. I might even go live for one of these games. I might even start going live just to start calling these games. And looking forward to it. Guys, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Peace.